Hey guys, we're in the machine shop at Karl Kustoms, so we're going to go in here and check out the Engine Dyno with our head machinist, Kelly Tapper. Kelly?
Hey.
So inside here, like I said, we've got Kelly Tapper. He's our machine shop manager. We're standing inside the Engine Dyno here at Karl Kustoms. We just wanted to get with Kelly today and talk a little bit about what we can offer with the Engine Dyno and things in the machine shop. Kelly, can you explain a little bit what this is and how we use it?
This is a benchmark superflow dyno. Basically, it is used for breaking in engines, seating the rings, tuning the engine, checking ignition systems, tuning the fuel systems. There's quite a bit that we can do with this, and we can run fuel injection on stuff like this also. So, but it's a pretty diverse machine that we're used for diagnostics.
Okay, and you mentioned breaking in and tuning. So can you kind of talk about the different things you do when you're breaking in an engine, whether it's a crate off the shelf or something that you guys built in here, and then taking it a step further to tune?
Sure. For the most part, the crates or any engine that we build for say, we will take a carburetor that we know is already set up good, that we don't have to worry about. We'll do the base timing check on it. We've got the EGT set up so we can measure the temperatures per cylinder in it. And we can watch the fuel chart as it goes up. But we'll put a slight load on that thing for maybe about 30 minutes or so at about 1300 degrees Fahrenheit per cylinder to get some good temperature in the combustion chamber and the rings to get everything to seat in properly. And we'll have it sitting there maybe around 3,000 RPM to 3,500 RPM, just varying the timing and changing the load on it as the 30 minutes pass by until the rings seat in.
Okay, and then taking it a step further with tuning, you mentioned we use some of our own stuff, and then if customers got some carburetors, drives, those sorts of things, they can send them into us, and we can put them on and make sure everything's driving. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. We get that for quite a bit of our customers for the circle track. We'll go ahead and start out with what we know works good and has a good baseline number. Then we'll put on the customer stuff and see exactly where his is as far as the richness of the carburetor, how it transitions from idle circuit to wide open throttle, just the fuel delivery system on it totally. And then we're able to manipulate it, turn it around, or adjust it properly so that the customer's happy and we know it's going to be safe for them to run so they don't have any issues.
And that's also a good opportunity to say a guy's been running the same carburetor on a couple different engines. Maybe it's a little worn out and maybe we have something superior. It's a good opportunity to, we can check it right here. There's no guessing, right?
Correct. There's you would be surprised the amount of stuff that I see that are inside these carburetors, especially on the dirt track. They're in a harsh environment, so I mean anything from debris in the fuel bowls or the air bleeds that the customer's telling me that's not working. So we'll go and figure out what it is or clean it out while it's here.
And we've talked a lot about the circle track stuff, but you guys do a lot of street motor stuff too. Can you talk about that?
Yep, we do a lot of street stuff. We're able to use the lambda meters on some of the other headers, and that measures the oxygen. Not only are they hooked up back here at the collector, but we've also got them per cylinder, so we can really fine-tune on some of the fuel injection with the new Holley system up front.
And we've been doing these, different things like we did with Robbie on the chassis dyno, and I've asked before, I'll ask you, a guy's thinking about putting an engine together, either building one or buying a crate or whatever. What are the types of things you'd like them to be thinking about, when they're coming to make that purchase that makes their life maybe a little easier?
Quality. Don't skimp on some of the parts. I know that a lot of guys are looking to save a buck, but the hassles that you're going to find down the road are going to outweigh your happiness by spending a little bit extra money to make it a quality piece. I've been doing this for a long time. Before I started doing this out of college, my dad raced for years, so I've been around this. And what you see is that when you're trying to save the guy some money, it usually ends up biting you. Just spending the time and doing it right the first time. they are going to be so much happier with the situation and with the parts and the result, that they don't have to work on it. You know, they can enjoy what they're doing. They don't have to babysit the engine at the racetrack. They can worry about the chassis on the setup. At the racetrack, on the street, it's the same thing. They can worry about driving their car and having fun instead of having to tinker with this thing. Just having a good solid piece in there. Don't skimp on the parts.
And you mentioned you've been doing this for a while, and all your guys have here too. Can you give everyone kind of some insight on your team? And I mean, everyone here's been building engines for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we've got quite a diverse group, and the guys are proud of what they do. I mean, and it shows they take the time to do it. It may take a little longer, but the product you're getting is a better product, I believe.
And Karl expects nothing less.
Right. Yep. The boss man is particular on everything he does, and I think that's why we got such a good group here, because we all believe the same thing.
Yep. And then earlier, kind of circling back, you talked about all the different temperature readings, all the data that you can pull from here. Could you maybe walk us around here and show us kind of what we're looking at, what you're looking at through the process?
So here's one of the monitors that we got going here. We're able to, we'll pull, like, take an example on the last pull here. I don't know what was on the dyno last. This is what we've got here is the horsepower, the torque rating. We got an air-fuel ratio that's made up of the amount of air used coming through the turbine on the top of the carburetor, and it also uses the fuel. So we're not using an O2 sensor on that one. We're just using the air-fuel ratio, using that. Then we've got pounds per hour, air CFM used. So we're able to tell what the engine's doing at that part. And then we're able to go to like a screen 6, and we can tell what the front bowl is using for fuel and what the rear bowl is using for fuel. Rule of thumb is we're wanting to keep these two lines as close together as possible. This one got a little goofy at the end, but we were able to adjust it later on. We've also got screen 4, which this one is all over the board. I believe this was a 2-barrel 602 at one time that was on here. But this is the EGTs per cylinder. And it measures, it goes from 1240 to 1488. I mean, it's all over the board on this one. And this was a used one that a customer brought in that just wanted dyno, that had 50 nights on it, and he was having some issues. So we were able to figure out his problems and get that grouping closer together and figure out his ignition systems also. So I mean, there is, we also get a live reading of the coolant temperatures, the oil pressure. This is a live feed of the horsepower and torque curve as it comes across here, so we're able to watch it. If it starts to take a drop, we pull out of the pole to save the motor if it's getting hurt or something. And it's also a live feed for your EGTs per engine going up and down across the board here. You've got the correction factor that's used, the airline temperature, the humidity, the barometer. There's just a whole screen of stuff, and here another deal. I mean, we've got all of the torque readings, the air turbine. There's a ton of stuff that as you can see, that we can sit here and monitor. But it's very useful to the trained eye.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, and I've been in here a lot of times with you while you've been dynoing. I guess using all those numbers and all those readings, and you guys have it displayed in here, you can oftentimes catch things, you know, before they get bad. You know, if say you got low oil or EGTs aren't running right, instead of guessing, that kind of does the guessing for you. You guys just interpret and kind of address it from there, right?
Yeah, with all the guys and the amount of time and years that they've got for experience, we're able to come up with a lot of solutions and answers to problems. We've seen them before. These guys have been doing this long enough, and the best part is that we do enough networking with other companies that if we don't know it, we'll find out from somebody else that does know it. If I don't know something, I would rather say, hey, I don't know, and find out from somebody else than take a guess and say, and look bad later on. So we're honest about it in that way, you know.
Yeah, awesome. And like we said, you know, kind of the data doesn't lie.
Right.
So I'd like to thank Kelly for taking the time to kind of walk us through the engine dyno and some of the other things we have here. If you're interested in any engines or anything related to that, make sure you give Kelly a call here at Karl Kustoms, and he'll get you taken care of.